Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Cyber Unfiltered. We have gone vertical since we see that people like these new things.
And now we're sitting on each other's heads.
Yeah, apparently I've got to look up at Chris the whole time. So we have Chris out of Michigan, we have Bob out of New Jersey, and Matt out of Pittsburgh. And I would just like to give myself credit for getting everyone's location right and not forgetting where Chris lives. So
I am pretty unforgettable, but I'm just trying to not to make jokes about our new format.
Unforgettable. Anyway. So we have some stuff this week, but an interesting honorable mention, and I only say it's an honorable mention because it's not something a lot of us small businesses have to worry about unless you're hosting your own Exchange server, is there has been a whole lot of hacking happening on SharePoint servers and SharePoint exploits. And at first, it really started scaring some people because a lot of us use SharePoint even when we don't realize it in our businesses. But it turns out this is really on-site servers. And it's actually related to, oh my goodness, something that probably wasn't patched properly before. But where it gets interesting is apparently this is linked to not one, not two, but three different Chinese-based threat actors. So that's the latest as of today. I'm kind of curious to watch this one.
You mean the bad guys work together?
I mean, the bad guys might work together and they might not be in the U.S. all the time.
Well,
shocking.
To be fair, this was a 0-day attack. So this wasn't patched yet. They patched it after the fact. So after it was under active exploitation.
Mm-hmm.
So
still ugly.
Yep. So
another reason I don't love having stuff on site anymore.
So they knew about the 0-day. They partially patched it on July 8th, but apparently it was only partially patched. So then
got a new CV and everything.
Yeah. So yep. Whoops. It's pretty bad too, because a lot of these SharePoint servers, obviously for collaboration, are exposed to the internet, right? So
kind of have to be.
Yeah. So what they patched on July 8th was a spoofing / authentication bypass. Then they also patched one that was a remote code execution, which is good. That is a CVSS score of 8.8. The problem that they didn't patch until July 20th is apparently there was an unauthenticated RCE. That was a 9.8. So that means you could do remote code execution on the SharePoint server without authenticating to it, without having a username and password. That's why it was so easily exploitable.
Free data, free access.
Yeah. So it bypassed the fix that they released on July 8th. So that and then there was also a path traversal and authentication bypass as part of that. But really, they used that to get to it to dump something to do remote code execution. So that's really where it comes down to it.
So this is like a Billy Mays, but wait, there's more. It just
yeah. And then since we like the Typhoon name so much for China, it was Linen Typhoon and Violet Typhoon. So I don't know why anybody would name somebody Linen Typhoon. It seems like a really funny name, but okay, we'll just go with it. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So yeah, espionage, long-term intelligence gathering. They had consistent, obviously your data's at risk. That's a big problem, right? What do? You patch it. You have to rotate some security keys as well, and then you have to hunt for it. But yeah, big companies. It's mostly big companies that are affected by this too.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the part I'm thankful for. This isn't one where you have to. Hey, even though you're a 2-person place, you got this thing to worry about now. These guys should be on top of it.
Yeah, dude, the best thing that's ever happened to us is a small business server dying.
Well, I was going to say, how many people are still running small business server out there that have this issue still?
Let's be real. Like, this has been dead now for a while, everyone. But like, small business server used to be a server you could install on site. You had Microsoft Active Directory, so you could add all the computers, control the policies. Had Exchange for email. Had SharePoint and stuff like an early version of SharePoint.
Pretty awesome for its time,
dude. If they still had that today, we'd all be screwed with the number of Exchange vulnerabilities that came out and SharePoint and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like having people move to the cloud for those functions was the best move ever.
Back then, it was how many cool things can we squeeze in this one license in this one box?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now how can we get? Oh my gosh, that's a lot of exposure.
How can we get something to run like absolute shit and then make it almost impossible to actually troubleshoot? Let's just throw like 5 different things in a box, and
it was so cost effective until it broke.
Again, troubleshooting it was a nightmare because of how many things are on there. So I'm very happy that it's dead.
Yeah, I bet you need to eat some McDonald's while troubleshooting it. But I'm choosing.
Oh, and then expose 64 million applicants. Data?
Exactly.
Oh,
So what's up with that?
That's almost as good as a BOGO on Nuggets.
But not quite.
Not quite though. Yeah.
Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nuggets? Oh, I can't help it, man. No one else is even gonna get it.
You'd polish
6
off.
nugget password.
You'd polish off a 20 piece. Don't get me started on that. Yeah. So McDonald's had a little problem. So this is not a McDonald's direct issue. This is something called Paradox.ai. They had a little flaw, and it was for job applicants. They basically exposed the data of about 64 million job applicants at McDonald's. Luckily, researchers found it, and there's no proof that anybody accessed it, but they left a default password in there. Does anyone know what the default password is?
6 nuggets. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Really
5,
close.
6.
It was just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So, yeah, and then they had an application flaw. So they accidentally left a default password in there. Luckily, like I said, looks like researchers found it instead.
Wasn't it something about they had it set up for one restaurant as a test or one place as a test, and then they just kind of kept running with it? So,
no, they used 90% of U.S. franchises used it.
But the original was like a test restaurant, I thought, that had the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And they just continued.
They didn't vet it to expand.
Test systems went live.
Well,
test systems went live.
It looks like Paradox just messed up and didn't remove the default. So, like, for the most part, we require multi-factor authentication to log in, right? That's a safe way to do it. But a lot of times in developers, they have an account that doesn't require that because they're logging into the software like thousands of times. Yeah. So they usually take that default account out before it gets put into production. Oops. To their credit, though, the researchers told them, and they patched it, I think, relatively quick. Like,
yeah,
they fixed
this one could have been a lot worse because it was researchers that found it. This wasn't, just finding all the data out there on Reddit, like happens sometimes. And as far as we know, the data was really safe. Just someone found the door. It wasn't a bad guy first,
which is always good. But if you go to their website, they have customers like Kraft Heinz, Chipotle, FedEx, Marriott, GM.
Data.
Yeah, so this software is used by a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Job applicants give a lot of sensitive data away. So to have that happen, that could have been catastrophic because ultimately McDonald's is responsible for that because they use the third party risk management. They're responsible for that, so they're lucky. And Paradox is probably lucky too because McDonald's probably would have sued them into oblivion. So, but did you see? Did you see the story? I don't know if you saw the story. There's a company in the UK that actually went out of business a couple years ago. It was a trucking company.
Yep, I saw that a while ago.
So the Knights of Old. Did you ever read about that completely?
I dug through it for a while. It was I don't have it in front of me, but it was from what I remember, they had a data breach and their internal stuff got all encrypted, and they had the potential to refinance it, renegotiate some stuff, but because everything was encrypted, they couldn't access anything, and they wound up going out of business.
Yeah, they were $100 million a year enterprise. They were a transportation logistics company they were a logistics group basically in the UK.
Yep.
So they had been around for 158 years.
Another example of a data breach closing the doors.
Yeah. The difference here was it was one user's password. No multi-factor authentication. This was 2023, but it was what was it? Was it Akira that did them? I'm trying to remember I have notes. Hold on. Yeah, it was Akira ransomware that got them. They exfiltrated all the data like normal, like kind of what's happening today. They hit them with a ransom. They were told not to negotiate with them. And their operation systems were paralyzed. They couldn't manage their fleet anymore. Like it ruined the company. They inevitably collapsed.
And in this case, Chris, it was a complete ransomware kind of. It wasn't like we're going to an extortion attempt. This was the internal systems got trashed.
They're just locked out. Yeah.
But you were a business for 158 years. In June 26, 2023, you're hit with ransomware, and you entered administration, which is bankruptcy in the UK, on September 25th, 2023. Not quite 3 months later, 158 years, 730 people
finished by a hack.
In one hack, and the company goes from highly profitable to bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what I remember about that was they couldn't access their internal. They had no access to financial records that they needed to potentially renegotiate some debt to keep afloat.
Oh,
They're
flying blind on everything, even trying to restructure
and
to survive.
And they used a managed service provider for IT. They had internal IT as well. They had cyber insurance, and they still failed. And one of the things, the reason I want to bring this up is because one of the things I hear is I have cyber insurance. I hear that all the time. Right. And it's just everybody just wants to rely on insurance. They want to rely on things. It's like, dude, like.
Well, I have car insurance. I'm still not going to drive it straight into a brick wall. No, I'm fine.
Well, it's like this. It's the point is like insurance is a piece of a risk management strategy. It's a piece of it. It's not the whole thing.
We need Donkey from Shrek. It's layers, right? You got to peel back some layers. Security is all layers, and that's one of them.
Are we there?
We get an AI Donkey for us, about talking about layers. Security is like an onion.
I'm not touching that one. But the point of this is don't rely just on one insurance thing. And I want to bring that up again because, again, the executive team, the C-suite, they failed this company. They didn't do proper risk management. They didn't have a good cybersecurity program. Regardless of what they say, they had cyber insurance. They thought they had a good program. It sounds like they never tested it.
Mm-hmm.
And they had one simple thing. They had, I don't know if it was a VPN, but it was a single user account that got either brute forced or found on a word list that led to their demise. 158 years of in business, and one thing takes you out of business in less than 3 months.
So
something wasn't tested.
Chris, along the same lines, I was on a call this morning where somebody wanted to know why and how the bad guys got in through an unprivileged account. That there was a user there was one user they identified that had gotten breached. A non-privileged user came in through a VPN, and then all of a sudden their server was ransomed. They said that the guy was claiming, that user was unprivileged. Wasn't an admin. We've changed admin passwords, but he still got in.
So I saw. I'll talk about that, and I'll raise you one. I saw TikTok this morning, and this guy was like, "Windows Defender antivirus sucks. You should use Bitdefender or blah blah blah." And they went through all these antivirus, and he's like, "This is why people are still getting hacked." And he was talking about personal accounts, and he was like, because hackers will do like live off the land and stuff like that. I'm like, first of all, if you're a personal person and you get to a live off the land attack, like you're done anyway. So let's just not stop with their antivirus. Look. At the end of the day, you may that account might be unprivileged on your network. Might just be a standard user account, right? Once they get access to a VPN, they get access to your network. There's a number of attacks you can do inside of a network. Let's just say they got in through the VPN and they got into a PC that person used, right? And let's say they're an unprivileged user on the network, but maybe they're an admin on their local computer. How many times have we seen that?
Oh, yes.
Right? Always.
Okay. Well, if they're an admin on their local computer, that becomes a problem because you can access certain things on that computer. It could be something like a pass a hash, where an administrator is logged into that computer and their hash, which I don't want to get into that, but basically it's like it
A
identifies that
shadow of
user.
the account.
Say that again?
Like kind of like a shadow, like a remnant left from when they logged in.
Yeah.
They're trying to find layman's terms here.
Right. And if you don't have a good protection strategy, that hackers can log into that account as that user. If like a domain administrator or an administrator on that machine is logged in, I'm specifically saying you said server, so domain administrator has logged into that box, which is a big no-no. And they can pull that hash. They can pass that to the domain controller and get access to the server.
Mm-hmm.
There's ways to do that. They could have did keystroke logging and just captured somebody typing in the administrator account. There's a lot of things that could happen in the network.
Yep.
Just because it's a low level user that gets hacked, that doesn't mean it's safe.
Yeah, that user
number of
still has
attacks
a
can be leveraged.
certain amount of trust. So there's certain steps they can take to try to elevate that.
If you give somebody access to your network, you're inevitably going to get hacked. If they are a bad person and they have bad intentions, they can get to where they need to go with time. If you can't detect that they're in there and you can't detect what they're doing, you're done. You know, it goes back to this company, Knights of Old. Same thing. One non-admin user gets popped. Same thing that Bob just mentioned. They get taken down. There's strategies involved in this. Risk management's very important. Like Matt said, having an onion, having an onion is great for like security, but like the strategy matters arguably more than the tools, because if you're just doing stuff without a thought process, without an actual strategy, without like process, you're going to have gaps. And if you're not testing that, you're just exposing yourself for no reason.
In the case this morning, the guy actually, the EDR platform actually picked it up and stopped it. But he was like, how can this actually happen? Well, it happens. There's a way. Yeah.
And if you give somebody enough time, if they know what EDR you're using, because a normal login doesn't get flagged by an EDR or an antivirus, right? Like if somebody has credentials for somebody, it just doesn't get flagged. They can see what's running on that device. Inevitably, they could probably find a bypass if they look hard enough. Maybe it gets flagged.
Onions and food and fruit. Just don't make it so easy.
Yeah, maybe it gets flagged. Maybe it doesn't. Then you're in the hope strategy. Hope's not strategy, actually. That's like kind of like going to a Coldplay concert with your side piece and then diving away when they show the camera.
Someone had to go there.
I knew that was coming sooner or later.
That's not a strategy to not get
no
caught.
Expectation of privacy in public. There's no expectation of security if you got local admins, okay?
You're hoping somebody doesn't notice it. I'm sorry, when you dive away from when a camera goes, somebody's recording it, yeah, you're gonna get on the internet.
He's just tying a shoe, man. It's fine.
And so that's how a 158-year-old company goes down, and that's how a CEO of a company gets forced out in his marriage.
$1 billion company,
implodes.
That certainly blew up the social media over the weekend.
Oh, the memes are great. The memes
it's also how a billionaire becomes a millionaire. So, or half a billionaire, I would assume. So
it's how you can wreck your personal brand for the rest of your life for doing something like that. And again, think about this from standpoint, like I go back to the Knights of Old. What about the people running that? Now, I don't know UK law, and obviously I'm not a lawyer anyway, but like that stigma of leading that company like that, that stays with you. So when you move on to your next venture, people are going to have questions.
Yeah. So how did your last job as a security officer go?
Well, it ended abruptly. I'm just kidding.
Ended abruptly. All right, guys.
It ended at a Coldplay concert, guys.
We're losing it. We made it to the very end without talking about Coldplay. So I think we should wrap this up. And I'm not sure what we're talking about next week, but if there's anything anyone would like us to talk about, reach out where you're seeing this, or DM any of us, and we will get something together.
And I want to go on record before we end this. I am not a Coldplay fan. I'm more nu metal and like metal hard rock Matt, what are you?
I'm all over the place.
Okay.
I'd
I
say
didn't know what
anything
Coldplay
but
was
country,
until somebody
but
told
I
me.
mean, I'll listen to just about anything. But I don't hate Coldplay. I do have to say they provided some serious entertainment the last 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, whatever we're on now.
Unfortunately, it wasn't because of the music. So
No, but they found a way to adapt.
also, if you guys haven't seen it when we end this, if you haven't seen the Philly Fanatic and their little shot at this, go watch
Amazing.
that. That is hilarious. And
That was
until next week,
that was great.
that one was good. So
right.
until next week,